Jack sat rigid in the chrome waiting room, his calloused hands resting on his knees. The fluorescent lights above hummed with an alien frequency that made his teeth ache. Around him, a dozen candidates from various species filled the space. A Valdorian with 6 arms typing on multiple datapads, a gaseous nephrite floating in its containment suit, and others he couldn't begin to identify. He was the only human. The receptionist, a sleek android with crystalline features, called his name Jack's son. Conference room 7. Jack stood straightening the suit jacket that felt too tight across his shoulders. 5 years in the Terran Defense Forces had built muscle that civilian clothing struggled to accommodate. He'd been back on Earth for 8 months now, and this was his 14th interview. The previous 13 had all ended the same way: polite smiles, promises to be in touch, and then silence. Conference room 7 was massive, designed to accommodate beings of all sizes. At the far end of an obsidian table sat Elsa, the regional director for Galactic Logistics Incorporated. She was crystalline, her body composed of geometric facets that refracted light in mesmerizing patterns. Her reputation preceded her: brilliant, demanding, and notoriously difficult to impress. "Mr. Sun," Elsa's voice resonated like wind chimes. "Your application indicates military experience. 5 years with the Terran Defense Forces." "Yes, ma'am. I served as a logistics coordinator during the Outer Rim conflicts." One of her facets shifted, the crystalline equivalent of raising an eyebrow. "Logistics? How? Quaint. You understand that Galactic Logistics handles supply chains across 17 sectors, coordinates with 43 different species, and manages real-time shipments through unstable wormhole." Jack kept his expression neutral. He'd heard this before: the subtle dismissal, the implication that human military experience was somehow primitive compared to the galactic civilian sector. "I coordinated supply drops to forward operating bases under hostile fire, ma'am. One managed inventory for 3 battle groups across 4 systems simultaneously, often with damaged equipment and incomplete information." "Impressive," Elsa said, though her tone suggested otherwise. "However, we require someone with experience in our quantum routing algorithms. The Nephrites developed them 3 centuries ago. They're quite beyond human comprehension, I'm afraid." There it was, the same wall Jack had hit in every other interview. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, barely 100 years into interstellar travel. To the ancient species, they were children playing in the cosmic sandbox. "I understand," Jack said quietly. He started to stand. "Wait." Elsa's facets suddenly blazed with agitation. She gestured to a holographic display that materialized above the table. "Before you go, perhaps you can satisfy my curiosity. We've been experiencing a persistent bottleneck in the Kepler corridor. Our best analysts, Nephrite quantum theorists, Valdorian probability specialists have spent 6 months trying to solve it. The algorithms say our routing is optimal, yet shipments continue to be delayed by an average of 47 hours. Jack studied the display. It showed a complex web of shipping routes, with the Kepler corridor marked in pulsing red. Numbers and alien symbols scrolled past, but the underlying structure was familiar. He'd seen patterns like this before. "May I?" He gestured toward the controls. Elsa's surprise was evident in the sudden brightening of her form. "Please." Jack manipulated the hologram, zooming out to show a wider view of the sector. Then he started highlighting specific routes, marking them in blue. "Your algorithm is optimizing for shortest distance through normal space, but you're not accounting for crew psychology." "Crew psychology?" Elsa leaned forward. "The Kepler corridor runs through empty space. No stations, no landmarks, nothing but darkness for 60 light. I've seen this before. Crews get spooked. They call it the black stretch. They start finding reasons to run diagnostics, double-check systems, take unnecessary breaks. Your ships aren't mechanically delayed, your crews are unconsciously stalling because humans, Valdorians, most species, were hardwired to fear true emptiness." Jack highlighted an alternative route. "This path is 3 light-years longer, but it passes near the Andros Nebula. Crews have something to look at, something to mark progress against. In my experience, morale improves, and the psychological delays disappear." The room fell silent. Elsa's form had gone completely still, her facets catching the light without movement. Jack worried he'd overstepped. Then she began to pulse with a soft, rhythmic glow, crystalline sign of deep thought. "In 5 years, 47 analysts never considered crew psychology," she said softly. "They focused entirely on the mathematics, the physics, the pure logic of it. But you," her facets arranged themselves into what Jack had learned to recognize as a smile. You thought about the people. She manipulated her own controls, running simulations with Jack's proposed route. The hologram flashed through millions of calculations in seconds. When it stopped, the Kepler corridor was green. Projected delay, 0.3 hours, within acceptable parameters. Elsa turned to face Jack fully. Mr. Sun, your military experience. You didn't just move supplies, did you? You moved people through war zones. You kept them alive, kept them focused, kept them human. Yes, ma'am. Galactic logistics has been expanding rapidly. We've acquired the best technology, the most sophisticated algorithms, the finest quantum routing systems in known space. Her voice carried a new tone. What we haven't had is someone who remembers that behind every shipment, every route, every schedule, there are living beings. Beings who get tired, afraid, hopeful, determined. She extended one geometric limb across the table. The job is yours, if you want it, not as a logistics coordinator. As Director of Operations Integration, you'll work directly with me, reviewing our entire network through a human lens. Jack stared at the offered appendage, then grasped it carefully. Her form was warm, vibrating with energy. Ma'am, thank you. No, Mr. Sun, thank you. Elsa's facets rearranged themselves into something that might have been amusement. It seems we galactic citizens have been so focused on advancing beyond our primitive origins that we've forgotten some fundamental truths. Sometimes it takes a newcomer to remind us that the most sophisticated solution isn't always the best one. Sometimes what you need is someone who understands that sentient beings, regardless of species, have the same basic needs. As Jack left the conference room, the android receptionist showed the first expression he'd seen on its face: surprise. The Valdorian candidate with 6 arms stopped typing. The gaseous nephrite pulsed with curiosity. Jack didn't notice. He was already thinking about the Kepler corridor, about the other routes in the network, about all the ways that understanding psychology, human and otherwise, could transform an entire industry. Behind him, Elsa watched through the transparent wall, her facets glowing with satisfaction. Galactic Logistics Incorporated had just gotten its most valuable asset, a human veteran who knew that the hardest problems aren't always solved with better technology, but with better understanding of those who use it. Sometimes, Elsa reflected, humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their algorithms. It was their stubborn insistence on remembering that beings matter more than systems, that crew welfare affects performance, that you can't optimize the soul out of operations without losing something essential. The galaxy was about to learn what one human veteran already knew. The most advanced civilization isn't the one with the best computers. It's the one that never forgets the beings behind the screens. Asterisk.